Pathmonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us out at pathmonk.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Vince Fassbender. How you doing today, Vince?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
Nah, it's great to have you on, and a little bit excited to talk about your company, which in this case is ITJ. Well, let's kick it off with that, right? So that way our listeners could get a good understanding. Tell us a little bit more in your own words, Vince.
Absolutely. So ITJ, what we're doing is we are a software engineering service provider, really focused on American life science companies. And to break it down a little bit more is when you think about the tech industry and driving digital innovation and life science, they're obviously heavily depending on software engineering resources. And here in America, we do have a severe shortage of software engineers. And obviously, there's a bunch of competition. When you think outside of life science, the Googles, the Metas of the world, there's a lot of competition for that talent. And it's really hard to hire good talent, retain the talent. And as you know, in the industry, we've been doing this now for 10, 20 years. We outsource to India, Pakistan, China. And it comes with its own challenges, right? Like the lack in time, language barriers, cultural differences. And nobody really talks about all this great software engineering talent, which we have in South America. So at ITJ, we're a San Diego-based company, but one of our main offices is operated in Tijuana, so just across the border. So if you're familiar with the San Diego area, you fly into the San Diego airport and you literally drive 30, 35 minutes and you are in the heart of Tijuana in the booming financial district where our office is located. And we are helping our clients in the life science space to obtain really, really great talent from all over the place in South America and build strategic teams. So the big difference about ITJ, one of the big differences, but the main core thing is we don't have a bench of software engineers. So you don't come to us and say, hey, we need 5 of those kind of guys, back and front end developers. What you do with us, we sit down with our clients and we understand what the challenges are you're facing in your product roadmap, right? How can we help you to be a strategic partner and accelerate? And then we go out and custom source top talent for you. We put those teams together and they are a dedicated resource. So all of our clients, they have dedicated resources and teams. And the way we also differentiate from other players is we have a build, operate, transfer model. So we build your team, we operate the team for you. And at the end of the day, if you're saying, I'm so amazed by this beautiful Latin American talent, Mexican talent, and I want to bring him in-house and I want to create an entity anywhere in South America or Mexico, we let you transfer them to you. So full ownership, custom build teams, same time zone, and you're based in Mexico yourself. There is great talent in Mexico, a lot of software engineers, perfect English, really understanding the American culture, which enables our teams to really work closely and very effective with our clients in the life science space in the US.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, it's great to hear that there from ITJ and from you, Vince. And so is there a certain vertical segment? Is there an ideal ICP for ITJ then?
Yeah, so the typical ICP is we talk to CTOs, CISOs, everybody who's really in charge of bringing the right engineering talent into play to accomplish the company's roadmaps. So I don't want to name drop here, but our clients are really, really big players, for example, in the automated insulin pump industry. So the work our engineers doing, they do touch people's lives all around the world. So this is really fantastic. And we focus on people who are really heavy on R&D, digital innovation. So when you think about the medical space, there are obviously a lot of hardware pieces to it, right? That's not what we focus on. We really focus on the innovation on the digital side. And that can be machines, it can be tools which are really heavy reliant on software, but it can be also fully digital. And do anything from cancer research, detection, breast cancer early detection, insulin delivery. So our clients and our teams that touch lives from young to old all across the world.
Definitely. That's awesome. Great to hear that. And so then how would somebody then usually find out about ITJ? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys, Vince?
It's also interesting. We've been growing so fast. We got recognized by the Inc. 5000 recently. We've been just growing tremendously fast. And it was really based on the network of the leadership team. Our leadership team has combined over 100 years of life science experience, great network. And a lot of this network were our first clients, right? Giving us that trust based on the personal relationships. And now we're at the stage where we really need to scale. So when we think about client acquisition and getting the word out there, what we really focus on is a heavy ABM strategy. So really engaging with the main players in the industry, leveraging a tool like Rollworks, for example. And one of the big challenges and the fun in my job is really combining all those digital efforts with real life efforts, right? How can we combine targeted advertising, education, together with in-person events, and how can we make sure that we're really measuring our marketing impact and being able to quantify an ROI?
Okay, perfect. Great to hear that. And so that way our listeners who are tuned in could go ahead and visit you. Really easy. They could go to itj.com. What role does a website play for client acquisition, Vince?
Yeah, you guys can go to itj.com. Big disclaimer here, we are in the process of ripping it all up and doing it new. As I said, we've been growing so fast and it's great to have growing pains, right? But the website's definitely one thing which we haven't really retouched yet and which needs to happen. And it's a good question. The website's going to be a crucial part in terms of our client journey or prospect journey. Because the goal here is to educate people on the problems we solve in the industry and why we're uniquely positioned to do so. So the website is really fundamental in building that trust, the human and respect with the industry. So I hope to be relaunching our website in the next 2-3 months together with the team.
Oh, awesome. Very great to hear that. And when you do relaunch it, is there any tools or tips or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Absolutely. I think a lot across industries and across companies, I think people always get a little blindsided by what we should be talking about. A lot of companies and leaders, they like to talk about how great we are, right? We all think we're the best player in the world. We are so interesting, but you want to flip this around. You want to come from a value perspective. What problem do clients typically have and how do we address their unique challenges? So when restructuring your website, you want to come at from a lens of a customer. What do they expect to read? What problems do they facing? And the closer you can match the language they have in their mind around the problems and the solutions they're seeking and reflect that in the language and navigation on the website, I think the easier of a job you're going to have really impactful journeys, right? Is it on the SEM side? Is it on the PPC side? You want to make sure that you reflect the language of your prospects across the advertising and the landing page journey.
Awesome. Great. Some great tools, tips there, Vince, from you. And well, let's switch gears a little bit, Vince, and let's talk about you as a leader, you being the head of marketing there for ITJ. What are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Oh, that's interesting. So I've been with ITJ now for about 8 months. And as I said, we had tremendous growth. I've been brought in to really align the commercial team, right? I think historically, as you know, sales and marketing was usually one organization. And then as American organizations grew and became more complex, we split those two functions. And that led to a lot of pain. So my role really at ITJ, my day-to-day focus is how can I really align strategic sales efforts with strategic marketing efforts, right? Think about being a team and pulling in the same direction. And it always sounds easier than it is, right? When you really orchestrate from strategy to tactics to communication and making sure we're all on the same page. And that's really my key focus here. And that has different components, right? Like, let's first align on the accounts we want to go after and understand the needs they have and how we are uniquely positioned to help them with their pain points. And how can we take that language and that value and make sure it's consistent across every touch point, right? There's obviously advertising, there's the websites, there are value-added pieces like white papers, but then you also talk to people on the phone, you meet them on the events, webinars. How can we make sure that both teams, as part of the entire commercial team, speak the same language so you don't break trust with clients, right? You want to make sure that when you talk to 5 people, that all 5 people give you the same understanding of what the value is and the value we bring to the table for you.
Definitely. All right. Awesome. Great to hear that from you. And in between that time that you would have available from your day to day, how do you stay up to date with all the new marketing strategies, trends? Is there a preferred channel that you like to stay up to date with on marketing news?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm obviously subscribed to a million different newsletters, and I do that. But what I found to be the most effective for me personally is I research on LinkedIn a couple of industry leaders. So, for example, when we're talking about ABM, which is one pillar of my strategy, I have a network of a couple really, really high-profile ABM experts, and I make sure I build a relationship with them. And you would be surprised how generous people are with the time. So if you have a specific problem or question versus just going and reading an article about it, I like to just bring that forward and talk to people and experts in the space. If you're just very fluffy with your outreach, nobody's going to reply. But if you come to experts with a specific question when you're asking for advice, input, you'll be surprised how often people give it to you. People are very generous.
Definitely. I think that's, an approach that I think a lot of people kind of maybe fear, right? But awesome. Love that too, that you're able to mention that so that our listeners could get to take advantage of that. And well, let's jump into our next section here, Vince, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready?
Let's go. Absolutely.
First off then, Vince, what is the last book that you read?
The last book I read, you will laugh. When you see the book, it's very slim. It probably has less than 100 pages. It's called The Way to Wealth of Benjamin Franklin. And when you read this book, it is obviously about the way to wealth for you personally, but you can transfer a lot of that knowledge from the book to the business world. And just to give you a couple of points here, one thing Benjamin Franklin is calling out is the value of industry, really understanding your market and where you're operating in. And I think a lot of business leaders, they get, especially on the executive level, they're so busy and they get often after years so out of touch with where the market is evolving to, what people are looking for, the new trends in technology. So I think it's very important to stay up to date. And then the other thing I really liked from this book, which I think is very applicable to my day-to-day at work, is being prudent, financial minded, right? For example, to take a movie reference here from the movie 300, give me a handful of Spartans and not an army full of Persians. Like when I built my team, I'm not looking to unnecessarily increase headcount. What I'm looking for is I want a T-shaped experts in my team, right? Who have one specific skill set where they're really top notch in, but also have the ability to venture out into other related topics, right? So I think it's really crucial to think about team building in a prudent way. It's not about adding headcount and filling a pod. It's about bringing a couple people in who have strong sense of ownership. I love working with people who are very outspoken. I do not like yes sirs. I think it's super crucial to have people who understand the problem, bring the problem forward, and directly provide different levels of solutions to it so you can get the conversation flowing. And then last but not least, what I learned from this book, and I'm in violent agreement with, is community contribution. It is super crucial for a business to be authentic, to give back. And in the case of ITJ, we hired so far over 1,000 software engineers in Latin America. And most of those guys make 5x what their family made before. So they increase their income by 5x generation over generation. So what that means is we have a dramatic impact not only on their lives, on their family lives, but also on the community, right? Giving people real opportunities to progress in life and also to work on something that is meaningful. And I'm not saying that working on a line of code for a self-driving car is not meaningful. Absolutely. Very important, very impressive work. But when you look at software engineers, I like to compare them to artists often. They're very strong-minded on what is impactful on the world and what's not. And if you can go back home in the evening and tell your wife that you're working on a software which helps early breast cancer detection, I think that's absolutely wonderful. So yeah, giving back to the community is one thing which I think is important on a personal level, but also on a business level.
Definitely, and that's super important what you guys are doing and impacting. So that's awesome to hear from you. Yeah, Vince. Now, lastly, then, if there were, say, if you had a chance to go back in time, and what would be an advice that you would give yourself, if you were to restart your journey as a marketer?
Oh, that's a great question. Two pieces to that. So the first one is it's so important to bring mentors into your life very early on, and those mentors can be at different levels. But when I think about mentorship, it is so crucial to start this journey early and build different mentors, right? Like I had fantastic mentors and still have fantastic mentors in my life who helped me to be a better marketeer, which I can call up and I bounce off an idea and I get great advice on a very technical side, but also on a soft skill side. Right now, I'm on an executive level. I'm in part of the executive team. It's a lot about understanding problems, pitching your ideas, rallying up support. There's a lot of soft skills involved. And I want to give a shout out to one of my best mentors, Brad LaSala at Seek Thermal, one of the smartest marketeers ever met, and Lighthouse Global, Emily Johnson, and at ITJ, Keith Raylan. That's the first part. And the other piece of advice I would give my younger self is reach out to people. Like when you're early in your marketing journey, and if you go online and you're trying to research a problem, as you know, you probably get 40 different flavors of answers. And I think it is so helpful when you go out and research somebody credible, right? Find a person you feel like they really know what they're talking about, you trust their opinion, and then just reach out. As I said earlier, a lot of professionals are really, really generous with their time. If you have a specific problem or a specific piece you want advice to. So those pieces put together, build your mentorship network early. And it doesn't, as a marketer, it doesn't have to be only marketing, right? Think about, as a marketer, you got to work with sales, because if sales is not generating revenue, what are you doing as a marketer, right? So find mentors on all sides, cross-functional. And as I'm working in the tech field, right, really heavy focus on engineering, software engineering, build some mentorship relationship with software engineers. So you understand the product, the problems, huge impact on your career throughout. And obviously you build great friends, relationships for life.
Definitely amazing there, advice there, not just for yourself, but for everybody out there. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Vince. And we are coming to the end of the show here, Vince. But before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about ITJ?
The one thing you should remember about ITJ is that we're custom building amazing strategic software engineering teams in Latin America. And it's the biggest secret in the software engineering space. Nobody thinks about all those people in Latin America who just want to have an impact. And they're so skilled and they're so smart. Don't forget about South America.
Well, there you guys heard it. You could always check them out at itj.com. Vince, thank you so much for being part of today's episode. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to our next episode at Pathmonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Vince.
Thank you, Ernesto. My pleasure. Muchas gracias.